Ghana is projecting a cocoa production target of 1 million tons for the 2017-2018 crop season. Though the milestone has proved elusive in the last few years since it was first attained in the 2010-2011 crop season, the new board of Ghana Cocobod, inaugurated on Tuesday, is confident the target is well within its reach. The board chair, Hakpan Osu Ajimang, however, highlighted significant challenges he says makes the task ahead a daunting one. Key amongst the challenges, he says, is the dissipation of the $1.8 billion cocoa syndication loan contracted to help the board buy cocoa beans from farmers.
The myriad of problems, sometimes very daunting. But as the president said, to quote him, he was not elected to complain. And I guess, Mr. President, we can also say you have not appointed us to complain. But having said that, we need to appreciate all the points that the president articulated. For example, the cocoa prices are falling from about $3,200 per ton to now around $2,200. We've lost a whopping $1,000 per ton. So on the back of a production of 850,000 tons, we've lost $850 million. That is some of the problems that we have to cope with. Again, the syndicated loan of $1.8 million that we had hoped to use for this production year, unfortunately, Mr. President, is all gone. And we are yet to finish the purchase of the crops. So it falls on us to immediately try and organize some financing to carry on the process. The declining in production exacerbates the situation, just as farmers also, the president said, are selling their crops to Galamsey. And smuggling at the borders, also a source of great concern, Mr. President. Huge indebtedness, and I mean huge indebtedness of the sector of the Cocobod is something that we really have to tackle. Indeed, when you look at it, then the indebtedness or the huge debt overhang of the government itself becomes paris into insignificance. But we have to start do that.
The board chair outlined some measures he says should help them address the challenges. He says the board, amongst other things, will slash the salary of the chief executive and make cocoa farmers the true beneficiaries of its scholarships.
Mr. President, we could not agree with you more when you made the point that the cocoa farmers themselves have not been the major beneficiaries of the proceeds from the cocoa. We intend, as a board, to ensure that we are the friends, the advocates for the farmers, the thousands and hundreds of thousands of farmers, and we shall so do, Mr. President, and revert the situation whereby those who produce cocoa will benefit from it. We will rationalize expenditures and establish modus for moving the industry forward. For example, I really believe, we believe as members of the board, that we have to look at all manner of procedures in the board, including making dramatic cuts in the salaries, the wages of the top management. And even, Mr. President, after dramatic cuts, they will be higher than the highest under Article 71 of the Constitution. That is what the sort of situation we are dealing with.
Now we'll bring you more on this particular story and the Yoko investigations that we're told are underway. But in other news, Parliament on Wednesday deferred debate of the Joe Gatti Investigative Committee report into allegations of bribery against some members of the Appointments Committee. The highly anticipated report had been laid by the chairman of the five-member committee, and the Speaker had notified the House about the impending debate, only for it to be scuttled later.
Members need to be set to pause through the 50-page document, and I guess because it concerns all of us, we could then take the motion relating to that tomorrow.
Very well. We shall postpone that to tomorrow accordingly, because I saw the Honorable Minister leave. Therefore, I was wondering. Motion number 22 will be adjourned till tomorrow.
Majority Leader Chairman Sabonsu further explained the debate was deferred to allow MPs to better analyze it.
I want us to hurry through, and people will begin to say that, oh, such a huge document. We do not even afford members the opportunity to go through documents. So that is what is intended to be done. It will be distributed, and members will have the opportunity to peruse it thoroughly. And tomorrow, when we come to dealing with that, then we know that we've done a thorough job. Yeah. I have no inkling about what is contained in it as of yet, but when it's distributed, I have my copy. I also want to go through its entirety and be able to contribute in a very meaningful way.
Yeah. Given the huge public interest in this matter, couldn't the report, for instance, have been made available to members, say, yesterday before today?
You should know the processes in Parliament. You should lay it first before you avail it to members. You want to deal with an inverse proportion. I don't know why you are doing that. It's first laid, and once it's laid, it's distributed to members. You can't distribute before, laying the document on the floor. It's not done.
Something is taking forever, and we give deadlines as to when we hope to have it out, and then we shift it by a day or two.
What is taking forever?
The publication of the reports.
It's taking forever.
As in, it's taking too much time.
How?
But
the time has expired. What 30 days? The time that was given. What 30 days?
Initially,
the report's been done before 4 weeks.
You should ask whether it is 30 working days or 30 calendar days. You are not even probing that.
Chairman of the committee, Joe Gatti, meanwhile, tells Joy News the delay is well-intentioned.
That one, what has happened is very simple. Today we lay the paper, and tomorrow, first thing in the morning, we'll present the report itself. You know that Parliament, you first have to lay the paper. After you lay the paper, then you present the report.
how come this delay, some would call it, because we know that you're given 4 weeks initially, but it's taking one additional month.
It's a matter that we'll be addressing, and I don't want to telegraph my point.
So that then you'll be seeking retrospective approval for the extension, is that
Well, I don't know. I've practiced for, I think, close to 30 years, and there are ways in which you do these things, and I don't want to telegraph my point. Let's see what God will do tomorrow.
What can we expect from the report itself? Because something that the image of Parliament has been tarnished, so much thanks to these allegations.
I can tell you one thing we can expect for sure. Your name is not in the report.
It's a Yaraga's name in it.
No, I said your name.
In other news, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has started the process of fixing the new Takrady Road hours after residents and drivers went all over the state of the road. They say it's remained terrible for over 6 years now. The less than 2-kilometer stretch is set to produce tons of dust daily. To drive home their message, residents said vehicle tires ablaze on the road, linking the metropolis and other industries to demand its rehabilitation. The only health facility in the area had to be closed down due to the incessant dust, which is also blamed for cases of respiratory conditions. Samuel Kobna Emisa is the assemblyman for the area.
Here is about, the bad nature of our road. The road leading to Kwase New Takrady community is very bad. And we've complained and complained and complained, and nothing seems to be done about that. I recently went to Gapoa with one of my unit committee members, to lodge a complaint that it's over 6 years that we demonstrated on this road, and nothing has been done on this road. All they do is wake up in the morning, fetch some seawater, sprinkle it on the road, and within 10 minutes, the situation is back. People are having miscarriages on this road. Accidents are happening on this road. People are getting asthma and dust-related health issues on this road. And nobody seems to care. Go to Gapoa. They have said that they want to do this road. We think it's not Gapoa. Gapoa is not a road contractor per our Ghana law. It is the government, SCMA, and they have relinquished that obligation to Gapoa. And look, go to their yard, well paved, everything. They are enjoying their comfort. All their trucks are parked, and we are suffering. Go to Gapoa. I support them 200%. 200. When bureaucracy, when institutions are not working, you see people frustrated, and they have the right to express themselves.
Chief Superintendent Samuel Owusu-Bekum, who is in charge of railway and ports under the Marine Police Directorate, however, blames the Assembly for leaving the construction of the roads to the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority.
One of the major challenges why the new Takoradi road itself has not been fixed is the fact that the Takoradi port, as part of this expansion project, was supposed to fix that particular road. So the Assembly kind of had given that responsibility to Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to fix it. Is the reason why that project had delayed. I mean, like you rightly said in your intro, several times the people had demonstrated over and over and over. Today, right after the demonstration, two or 3 hours after the demonstration, the director of ports, Captain Afeti, promised that he was going to ensure that they come and they put the road in a place that is a bit more trouble. And 2 or 3 hours after the demonstration, due to that, a low bed came on site. A truck came, or a caterpillar, and then they started working on the road. So as it stands now, the new Takoradi road is being worked on. Later on, about 2 hours, the NP also came around, Anthony K.K. Sam, asking the plans by the Assembly to put the road in a better shape. And then what he told me was that in collaboration with Gapoha, they were ensuring that they make the road much more trouble within the next 2 to 3 days.
Well, joining me on the phone line now is our Western Region correspondent Francis Waja, and he has more detail on this particular story. Hello, Francis. So we're told that some work is being done, or the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has started some work on the road. How much work has been done today? Well,
Israel, the plan by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and the SCMA is to the road at least in shape, make it a bit more trouble for vehicles in the next 2 to 3 days before they look for a permanent solution. So as I speak to you, I will describe what has been done on that particular stretch of road. I'll peg it as say 50%. Today there were equipment on site. They graded it to some extent, and then
All right, but Francis, one of the issues that the people are raising has to do with the dust that is generated each time, each day. Now, grading the road would not get rid of the dust, will it?
Exactly, Israel. The mayor of the STMA tells me that there's a plan to fix it permanently. So while they look for a temporary solution immediately to solve the problem, the road is already on tender. So the only thing left now is to look for a contractor within the next 3 to 4 months, hand it over to the contractor for them, for him to work on the road. So for now, they will stick to the usual plan of watering it every day and then making it more trouble as well for the residents of the area.
Now, Francis, who's taking up the responsibility to water it each day?
Well, that responsibility is with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. I mean, that problem has been there for a while. That is the bad nature of the new Takoradi road. But anytime the issue has come up, the excuse the Assembly gives is that the construction of that particular road is part of the port expansion project by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. So it explains why the road has been there in that very bad or poor state all this while. So it's grading, the watering every day lies with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority.
How are the residents reacting to this latest gesture?
Well, earlier today, it will amaze you that the demonstration still started around 8 a.m. By 2 p.m., they were still there. They had resolved not to move until they saw something happen. So for them, they are very positive about what they've seen. Although they say they agree to the fact that it's a temporary move, but they are quite okay with what they've seen, and then they are hoping that the assembly will keep to its word, fix it within the next 2-3 days, and then in the next 4 months look for a permanent solution. So they are happy about it. As late as 5 p.m. when I went back to the site, I still could see some few people there making sure that they were actually doing what they had promised to do.
All right, thank you very much. Francis Waja is reporting from the Western Regional Takrady, Western Regional Capital, Takrady. You're watching Joy News Prime. Still to come in the bulletin, we'll be going back to our earlier story on the Cocobod and Yoko investigating massive corruption at the board. We'll be back with all that and more. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Joy News Prime, and we're going back to our top story, which has to do with the Cocobod. Now, Ghana is projecting to produce 1 million tons of cocoa for the 2017-2018 crop season, though that milestone has proved elusive in the last few years since it was attained in the 2010-2011 crop season. The new board of Ghana Cocobod, inaugurated on Tuesday, is confident the target is well within its reach. One of the major challenges they are confronted with, however, is the fact that the $1.8 billion cocoa syndicated loan has been dissipated, and this is suggesting that it's been dissipated in a rather corrupt manner. Now, Elton John Brobe is our presidential correspondent, and he has been picking up some information about investigations being undertaken by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, and he's here to share with us some of the information that he has. Elton, now, Cocobod essentially is the focus of a massive investigation, yes. Comprehensive investigations by the Economic and Organized Crime Office. What exactly is at stake?
Well, what we do know is that in January, late January, Iyoko invited the former chief executive of Ghana Cocobod, Dr. Stephen Opuni. Now, after some hours of questioning, Iyoko extended the invitation for some kind of assistance in their investigation to 14 other senior members of Ghana Cocobod, Cocoa Marketing Company, and Quality Control, also a division of Cocobod. Now, in that letter that they wrote to these individuals, it was clear that the invitation was based on account of Dr. Opuni when he met Iyoko. That is what the letter contained. And what we do know is that these individuals... So
essentially information that Dr. Opuni had supplied to Iyoko.
Yeah, necessitated Iyoko inviting them to assist in their investigation. That was the body of the letter Iyoko wrote to these individuals. What I do know is that some of them are on interdiction, some are assisting Iyoko into their investigation to cocoa operations of Cocobod during the period of Dr. Stephen Opuni as chief executive. Now, the investigation centers around the cocoa projects, the fertilizer projects, and we are told that this is
cocoa road
projects, and then the supply of fertilizer to farmers, and we are told this is running into millions of dollars.
And then the bags, apparently.
Of course, that also. And also what they are describing as wrongful award of contract to some individuals with no capacity to execute those contracts. So these are the people who are under investigation. It will also interest you to know that some of the people who are awarded some of these contracts are also assisting Iyoko in their investigation. But what I've picked is that some people were paid money for no work done, and we are talking about millions of dollars.
How is that possible? Because ideally, before you're paid for any work done on a project, you're supposed to bring your work certificate.
Work certificate.
And based on your work certificate, they pay you. And as the work progresses, they continue to pay you.
Very interesting. Indeed, a source at Iyoko told me that the document they are working with contains a list of individuals who benefited from the cocoa rose contract. And you realize that about 90% of these contracts were sole source. Now, so the names, the address, and the capacity of these individuals is captured in the document. So it was based on that some of these individuals were invited. Indeed, the source told me that one individual, when he was invited to come and assist in the investigation, actually came with a check. So he will not even allow them to go into the investigation.
To probe
not
the
even
issue.
waste, the precious
He
time.
volunteered.
Of decided to give them a check to cover the amount of money, according to him, he was paid. Now, the interesting aspect relating to this particular matter is that the money involved, I'm told, is around $4 million. This person is said to have been given a contract worth $16 million. What the source told me from Yoko is that the person has even yet to go on site to start work, yet he's been paid. Now, this person, according to this Yoko source, told me that confirmed receiving an amount of $4 million, which according to him is far below the $16 million he's alleged to have been paid, and also gave names of people they can go, to
claim the remainder
claim
of
the rest and to verify his story. But according to him, he was only paid $4 million, and he came with a check of $4 million to cover this particular amount in question. And I'm told that similar stories have been told by some individuals who have appeared before Yoko.
We have information that this investigation could be rather far-reaching. Do you have any idea the consequences or implications of this investigation?
It is deep, and indeed what I've been told, even on a daily basis, the office of Cocobod is inundated with claims for payment of some works alleged to have been done by contractors, and yet they are unable to find documentation to back some of these things. And it has left Cocobod in a huge debt. What is unclear is whether or not Yoko or the states, the Attorney General Department, because obviously they'll have to advise on the way forward, whether or not they will take a step in prosecuting individuals who may be found culpable of mismanagement or misappropriation of funds. Indeed, President Akufo-Addo yesterday, when he inaugurated the board, said that if the allegation turns out to be true, it must lead to reform to ensure that there's not a recurrence of what took place during the tenure of the former administration. We don't know whether Yoko will be bold enough to take that next step in prosecuting the individuals whom they are investigating for their various roles, or whether or not they will open the net to bring in some individuals we are being told are neck deep in this corrupt deals, alleged corrupt deals, perpetrated during the period under review.
Right, thank you very much, Elton Brobe. Elton Brobe is our presidential correspondent, and we're staying with this cocoa story. As I indicated earlier, one of the major challenges confronting them has to do with the $1.8 billion cocoa syndication loan. That money is supposed to be used to purchase cocoa beans for the 2017-2018 crop season from the farmers. Now, with that money dissipated, there are concerns that the beans or Cocobod will not be in a position to purchase these beans. But our great Minister, Dr. Efriye, has assured operations of Cocobod and their activities in the sector will not be affected.
The 9-member committee will be chaired by Deputy Information Minister Perry Curtis Okujeto, with 8 other members from the Ministries of Agriculture and Information supporting. The ambitious policy plan, according to Dr. Efriye Akuto, is aimed at scaling up food production and create jobs in the process. Maize, rice, soybean, sorghum, and vegetables are the foodstuffs that will be pursued under the program.
The only hope of our government fulfilling the promise to provide jobs is agriculture. And that hope, I'm very optimistic for 2 reasons. First of all, agricultural productivity in Ghana is one of the lowest in the world. When we say productivity, whether by acreage, the amount of food that you produce on 1 acre of land, or the amount of food that one person in agriculture produces, these are indicators of productivity.
The minister added, the policy plan will end last year's event when the former administration spent $2.2 billion to import just 8 food items.
Read my lips, $2.2 billion importing 8 food items that are produced in this country except wheat. And if you look at 2003, we used to the same figure was only $350 million. Now it's ballooned to 2.2 billion US dollars, half of which rice is 1.1 billion US dollars. It's frightening.
1,200 newly recruited extension officers are expected to educate participants with the requisite knowledge to help government achieve the set target of increasing yields and reducing unemployment. In view of that, government has adopted 5 pillars, which include supply of fertilizer, extension services, provision of certified seeds, marketing of the produce, and electronic registration of the farmers with a view to monitor them and make it easy to assess the outcome of the 4-year program, which starts in 4 weeks.
All right, so that was rather Minister for Agriculture, Dr. Usefri Ekito, saying that government will vigorously pursue the 4-year planting for food and job policy to end the era when government spend billions of dollars to import food items. We're taking a break now. We'll bring you business news next.
Hello, good evening, and it's time for business. Agric Minister Dr. Efiye Akoto has assured operations of Cocobod and the activities in the sector will not be affected. This follows revelations by new board chairperson of Cocobod, Hackman Uswajimai, that the $1.8 billion cocoa loan meant for this year's cocoa crop season has been exhausted despite outstanding payments yet to be made. But the Agric Minister Dr. Efiye Akoto says there's no cause for alarm.
Country is going to turn the fortunes of agriculture around, provide cheap food for the urban areas, and not only the urban areas, provide the stocks for us to be able to enter the West African market. And so,
is it also going to feed into the commodity exchange? I mean, you were talking about taking time.
Yeah, but commodity exchange, you need time and resources to do it. You need the warehouses to hold them in a certain temperature and all that. It's going to take a while. But we are making the start, towards commodity exchange, towards the certification system and all those things. People have been sitting around talking about this for a long time, but we definitely are going to start the process.
But finally, yesterday, the board chair of Cocobod, which is under exploration, talked about the fact that the syndicated loan, we've exhausted everything. How are you going to purchase fresh beans going forward?
Oh, I mean, we are making financial arrangements. I mean, Cocobod is a very wealthy organization, and it should be very difficult for local banks to syndicate a loan for us to continue with our work.
Now, government has been outlining modalities that will guide the implementation of its flagship industrialization policy, One District, One Factory. According to government, for the project to be commercially viable, it should have the capacity to employ a significant number of persons to be able to influence the local economy significantly. Additionally, the factory should be able to produce commodities that the country currently imports. Trade Minister Alan Chiamantin disclosed this to Joy Business after a post-budget seminar organized by the Private Enterprise Federation for Businesses. He tells Joy Business the project has taken off after extensive engagements with industry players.
Implementation of the program has already started. Okay. I mean, in the sense that we've talked today about companies or individuals that are interested in participating, let's say, in the One District, One Factory initiative. We've given an indication as to the operational guidelines for becoming part of this. They will publish this on a website and so on and so forth. But then the key to the success of this program is for the private sector to take advantage of the initiative. We've made it clear that this is not government establishing enterprises. This is government supporting the private sector to initiate and establish these enterprises. And so we can only facilitate, but the initial action must also come from the private sector.
In a quick sum, what are some of the modalities that you explained earlier that we need to, that would aid the establishment of these districts in terms of the pure modalities?
Well, we've said, for example, that any individual or group of individuals or corporate entity that is interested in being part of this 1D, 1F, One District, One Factory initiative, must submit an expression of interest, either through the district assembly for the particular district in which he or she intends to be part of, or submit that expression of interest through the Ministry of Trade and through the Chief Director. So that's the starting point. We need.
Now, Ghana is making a case for ECOWAS member countries to recognize provisions under the Trade Liberalization Scheme, or ETLS. The call is spearheaded by stakeholders of the Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso trade corridor as a result of unfriendly practices by some customs and port officials along the route. Speaking to Joy Business in an interview, Deputy Trade and Industry Minister-designate Carlos Ahenkra called on the ECOWAS Commission to enhance efforts aimed at implementation of the scheme.
According to the Deputy Trade and Industry Minister-designate Carlos Ahenkra, trade procedures and customs processes at Ghana's borders and ports are undergoing some transformation as part of measures to implement World Trade Organization and ECOWAS protocols on trading. For now, countries like Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire, for instance, have not made any efforts in this regard, a phenomenon he describes as very unfortunate.
Fortunately, the understanding among member states is becoming increasingly difficult. If you had listened to me earlier, you'd have heard some of the problems that I enumerated. But chief among these problems is the imposition of transit tax by some of these countries, which is hindering seriously the improvements that we are chalking in this direction. Indeed, it might interest you to note that there are certain countries, and from the Ghana to Nigeria corridor, there are certain countries that charge you taxes as if the goods are entering for home consumption, whilst indeed it is only transiting through their country, which only needs a cursory check for the goods to move on.
Mr. Ahenkra therefore disagrees with the call by some civil society groups and stakeholders in the industry to sanction member countries which flout the ETLS trade rules along the borders, saying this could compel some member countries to opt out.
The question is, would the sanctions work? Do you want to bring up sanctions and ask them to leave the organization? What we do with ECOWAS is mainly reasoning, is mainly compromise instead of sanctions. Because if you decide to place sanctions, people have the right to opt out or opt in. Ghana has been a leader when it comes to implementing ECOWAS protocols, and we will take this opportunity to beg our colleagues in the sub-region to, as it were, let the program work. It will benefit you, it will benefit me. I want to go to Togo and nobody will ask me any questions. I want to enter Ivory Coast and nobody will ask me to produce a passport, and so on and so forth. Even though you don't need a visa, today crossing the border at each side, whether east or west, it's very challenging. And I think that we can do something about it. Let us do it in our lifetime.
The forum, under the theme Positioning Ghana as a Gateway to West Africa, is a first in a series of activities scheduled for the year 2017.
Now, oil marketing firm GOIL has reduced prices of petroleum products ahead of the March ending review. The oil marketing firm has reduced diesel and petrol by 5 pesos each per litre. This could mean that a gallon of diesel could be sold to you at 18 Ghana cedis 45 pesos, while petrol could also go for 18 cedis 58 pesos. According to GOIL, the action is in line with the downward trend of price of crude oil on the international market. This could trigger some price wars and also force the other oil marketing companies to drop their prices. In a related development, industry coordinator of the oil marketing companies, Kwekwa Jimaindua, says we should expect more reductions at the pumps.
The reviews are dependent on two things. The oil price, the oil price of fuel and the CD-dollar relationship, and also maybe the competition. And the competition is so fierce that even when there's nothing at all, the competition even forces the price down one or the other. So much as we're expecting that it should go further down in terms of oil prices. But if it does, and the dollar exchange rate is fairly stable now, obviously you see what's happening.
You have mentioned about 3 or 4 variables. Now the CD is stabilizing. Year to date, it's done a little over 2% depreciation.
Right.
the price of crude oil on the international market has also fairly stable. Some are saying that then we should expect a drastic reduction there.
Basically, not drastic, but relatively. I mean, as it when it happens, it's a 2-week window, and it's average of all the values over there. So let's see what happens by the time of closing.
What percentage variables are we hoping between 2 to 4% or even 2?
I can tell you the percentage. I don't think I'll be standing here for you to interview me. Yeah. I'll make a lot of money. But given that the trend is the pricing going down, there's a lot more hope that we have a positive review.
Now, a section of workers of the Ghana National Fire Service this morning converged on the premises of CDH Financial Services to demand the payment of their outstanding pension funds. The funds, managed under the CDH Asset Management, a subsidiary of the company, matured early this month after a 5-year period. Group CEO of CDH Group of Companies, Emmanuel Edusa Akodie, however, told Joy Business efforts were underway to pay all 7,000 workers by end of the week.
So I'm currently here at CDH House, where hundreds of workers of the Ghana Fire Service across the 10 regions of Ghana have converged to, as it were, take back what they claim to be the provident funds that the company is refusing to give to them. I've already spoken to the manager, who claims the fact that this is a public outrage, which needs not be. Why? Because there seems to be some mismanagement in terms of the communication between management of the fire service and that of CDH. It was a moment of chaos when aggrieved workers of the Ghana National Fire Service trooped to the premises of CDH Financial Service, demanding that payment of their 5-year pension funds be made in cash. These workers, who came from all 10 regions of Ghana's Fire Service offices, told Joy Business off camera that management of the Fire Service failed to tell them about the deductions of funds made from their salaries to the asset management subsidiary of CDH in charge of pension investments. Group head of CDH Group of Companies, Emmanuel Edusa Akodie, told Joy Business that there was some miscommunication between workers of the fire service and their management regarding payment of pension funds. According to him, plans are already far advanced to complete payment by end of the week.
100 people, it looks like an invasion. So that's why you see many people on the compound. So what we're doing is we're processing them 10 by 10 each. And so yesterday we paid 500. Today we're hoping we can pay another 600, and then we pay everybody off. But our appeal to them is there's no need to come. We will send the money to your account at your station.
But their main concern happened to do with the fact that their bosses, the fire service, never did tell them about any kind of deduction whatsoever. I've spoken to some of them who said the fact that their salaries came, this month, and they realized that some deductions have been made, and it's been the trend for the past 5 years. That's what triggered them to come over here.
I mean, they all filled forms. We don't just deduct people's money. They all filled forms indicating that they had signed up to a product. Now, of course, they come in groups and in batches, so that's how we process them. I think maybe there's some miscommunication between their heads of units and them, but for us, we have a genuine transaction that we did with them. It's time for them to collect their money, and we'll pay everybody off.
That's all in business for tonight. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. There's more news ahead. Don't go away. Good evening.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Spokespersons of the New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region have withdrawn their services to the party in protest of what they say is a failure of leadership to consider them for appointment. The aggrieved members say the party has neglected them after riding on their shoulders to power. Leader of the group, Prince Milonu, told Lava Firm's David Akwete on burning issues they will no longer speak for the MPP until their concerns are addressed.
I didn't pay for only a Jacko vehicle. I can confidently tell you on this platform, right, that I selected an orphan constituency. I paid for a candidate filing fee. I personally paid for a candidate filing fee, and for the first time, we won that seat. My father is aware of that, and we know Jacko is a popular man. he announces his support for Nanado and MPP. And I'm telling you, Mr. Isibuatin is here. Nobody provided, a vehicle for that man. No, let me go there. But for me as a communicator, I realized that, no, his impact would do well for our party. So I have to sacrifice, and I took a decision to rent a car for this man as a communicator. Listen, after this narrow...
Was it not a sacrifice you were...
Where is a sacrifice?
Were you asked or were you compelled to by any member of the party?
In as much as I'm a party member and a communicator, and I'm here, I've been going to radio station every day to campaign for my party. It means I'm ready to do anything that will bring my party into power. Is that not it? Good. And I've done that. You see, the most annoying thing is that after paying for 42,000 Ghana cedis for that rent as a communicator,
what rent are you talking about?
The car Jacko was using. You understand? In fact, I couldn't pay all the money. I paid 23,300, right? And I wrote post-dated check 18,700. After the election, there was nothing in my accounts, and the check bounced. You understand? I got arrested at Inshra FM by the company at Golden Tulip. Right. I confronted the regional chairman. I confronted the regional secretary. In fact, as I'm speaking to now, my pictures are on the social media, written, wanted by police. Prince Milono, or in the name of this party. In fact, this Mr. We are saying is that we loved our party, we sacrificed for the party. If not anything at all, now that we are in power, at least we need a call that thank you communicators.
So you're not looking for money?
If we deserve that, if we deserve it, let it come.
Meanwhile, a founding member of the MPP in the Ashanti region, Mr. Isibuatin, has assured the angry supporters they will be taken care of.
Party activity is based on volunteerism. It is total volunteerism. Nobody writes an application into a political party to be a member. Nobody. Nobody writes an application to be a communicator. Nobody. It's by volunteering yourself, and when people see your skills, your abilities, your capabilities, you are appointed. Let that be clear. I am not comfortable at all with this situation. When you take your individual objectives to join a political party, you are wrong. You are wrong. Listen, because I said earlier on that out of over 5,000 or 6,000 appointments that the president had to make, how many people, how many MPP, how many of us? We are millions. And how many of the other Ghanaians? They are millions. Listen.
Two women have been arrested by the Bachano Divisional Police Command for human trafficking. The suspects, believed to hail from neighboring Nigeria, according to police, transport the girls to Ghana with the intention of further transporting them to the diaspora. This was disclosed by the Bachano Divisional Commander, Chief Superintendent Felix K. Cosmos, at a news conference.
So they said that we are going to Germany. I mean in Nigeria, the people that bring us here. So this girl, me and she, they are the one that they called. That we should follow them.
That was one of the victims narrating her ordeal. According to her, she was deceived of being sent to Germany only to end up in Ghana and forced into prostitution. She said her refusal to go into the business resulted in her being locked up in a hotel room without food until the police rescues them.
There is one Taizima that these people called. So they said that we are going to Germany. I mean in Nigeria, the people that bring us here. So this girl, me and she, they are the one that they called. That we should follow them, that we are going to Germany to work. I told them I'm working, that I have my own handwork. They say, okay, once we got to Germany, we may use our handwork or we do house help. That fair lady came to pick us down to the hotel. So when we get there, I met many girls there. And I asked, is it all of us that are going to the Germany? They say, yes. Later, the fair lady said that. And I asked, who is my boss? She said, she's my boss. I said, you are my boss? They say, yes. I said, okay. So is it here we are going to stay or we are going to Germany? She said, it's here. I said, in Ghana, here. I say, yes. I said, this is not what they told us in Nigeria. They said that we are going to Germany. That is the reason why I said, okay, let me go. What am I doing in Ghana? I said, okay, you know what? Give me my money or give me my bag and let me go back to Nigeria. We came on the 20th, so on the 24th, suddenly we just saw police. I don't know. That's how they pick us. And I told them, I came yesterday, so I don't know.
They sent the money to the lady that came to pick us in Nigeria. So she make the eyelashes and the hair for us. She said we should look neat, that so the woman that want to go and do the house help should accept us. So
Superintendent Felix Cosmos explained they received a tip-off that a group of Nigerian young women were in the company of some suspicious adults in a hotel room at Bachona engaging in prostitution. The police, following the information, embarked on an operation and arrested the two suspects, 33-year-old Ifi Imba and 23-year-old Amanda Eze Chioma. 6 of the victims were also rescued. A third suspect, whose name was given as Angel, is however on the run. The police appealed to hoteliers to identify and report suspicious characters to the police.
Victims were forced by the suspect to go into prostitution in Ghana. Police discovered that 4 of the victims were brought on the 14th March 2017 and locked up in a hotel room. They were made to swear an oath to go into prostitution in the nightclubs in Bachona, and each of them to pay 555,000 naira, an equivalent of $2,000, to their mistresses, being the suspects. The police service also want to assure that we will continue to work with all stakeholders, especially those in the hospitality industry, to reduce human trafficking in the country through sensitization, protection of victims, and then subsequent prosecution of all those who be found culpable.
The suspects who have been detained will be handed over to the Anti-Human Trafficking Unit of a CID headquarters for further investigation.
On to the rest of our story. As Member of Parliament for Upper Dentra West says flashing out Galamsey operators in the country will lead to a total system collapse. According to him, Galamsey has become the main source of livelihood for his people, and any attempt to flush them out without the provision of an alternate source of livelihood will lead to serious economic rift and an escalation of social vices among residents. The MP in Songwa Jan said this after the Dentra Development Association paid a courtesy call on the Dentra Traditional Council following the demise of the Manhene of the Dentra Traditional Area, or D4 Ponsam. Richard Kojonyako has more.
Other water bodies in the central region have been under siege by these Galamsey operators. Farmlands that hitherto provided cash crops and other valuable food crops have been destroyed, and such farmlands sold for mere pittance to the Galamsey operators. It is as if everybody living in the Upper Dentra East and West constituencies is involved in these Galamsey activities. School children have abandoned schooling in search of gold. The residents have vowed to resist any act that will interfere in the Galamsey activities, irrespective of the damage to the environment. Member of Parliament for
The Christian Council of Ghana is entreating President Akufo-Addo to show leadership beyond words in his call for national attitudinal change. President Akufo-Addo had previously admonished against superstitious behavior that impede personal success and nation building. The Christian Council is embarking on a national campaign for attitudinal change, focusing on social ills like illegal mining and road carnage. Backing the president's call on the pulse with Gift and Apia earlier, Dr. Reverend Opuni said even though a religion has breached an important social gap created by lack of counseling clinics in Ghana, it should not be an excuse for sluggish attitude towards work.
We don't have counseling clinics, and therefore the churches have come to serve and fill that gap. So emotional needs, people who are struggling with depression and all that, it's like the place to go is these churches where music, encouragement, words of hesitation, and prayer. And so they come back a bit relieved. We are human beings. We are not only spiritual beings, we are also intellectual beings. We have health needs. We have other needs. You know, in the Bible it's been said that if a person doesn't want to work because he doesn't know when God will call him or her, then that person should not eat. It seems to me our pastors must find a way of encouraging people to go back and work. You know, even though, yes, we are responding to the need, but those who must go back and work, even if they are selling rice, must rush to the farm. They will be able to find something and come back home to feed the family. You know, the Christian God is a working God. You know, in Genesis, we've been told that he worked 6 days, and then the 7th day, he took a break and had a rest. You see, when God was working, he was working.
Outlining the strategy for the campaign for attitudinal change, Dr. Puni is first tasking President Akufo-Addo to ensure that water bodies destroyed by illegal mining are regenerated or recovered by the end of his tenure as president. He says political will from the presidency must lead a multi-sector approach to deal with the situation.
We find mercury, cyanide in our water bodies. Somebody is making huge money because you are into gold extraction, but at what cost? You know, and this Garamsey business, you have real party financiers and chiefs and big people behind it. Something must change, but it must start from the mind. You don't need IMF, you don't need World Bank. We need a political will that we can continue in this way. And that's why we are pleading that this attitudinal change must take place in homes, in schools, like the president said, everywhere. But we need a political will. Our leaders must give leadership. But we pray and hope, like the president said, and he is calling for attitudinal change, that he will identify to not just be a platform, excellent speech like this, but you pull all of us together. Our prayer is by the time you be leaving office as our president, brim must be drinkable.
But the people who also engage in this practice are paying huge tithes in the church.
So now that is why we must pull the pieces together. Though we expect that our pastors will raise their voice on such matters. We don't have power to enforce laws in this country. So we can be institution of conscience and draw attention. And we hope also that the president will come on board with, together with the Minister of Religious Affairs, that can we have a multi-sectoral approach that we are part of it, media people are part of it, other security traditional leaders, and we sustain it. You know, we sustain it till we can do some evaluation and have results.
The addition of tricycles to the transportation system in the Upper West Regional Capital was widely hailed due to the convenience it affords commuters. The excitement is, however, gradually waning, especially amongst parents and teachers who believe the lure of a well-paying job as commercial tricycle operators is drawing the boys from the classroom onto the streets. Rafiq Salam reports from where the Mahama Kambu phenomenon is beginning to impact on enrollment.
Since the introduction into the transport system of the tricycle, popularly referred to here as Mama Kambu or Mama Kandu, depending on whose side of the political divide you belong, it has improved the transport system tremendously here in the Wa municipality.
Places that hitherto one could have used several minutes or an hour to walk into are now covered with enabling.
Although passengers have no qualm and doubt about the efficacy and safety of these tricycles, there is growing concern about the caliber of people who who are behind the steering wheel. Most of them are believed to have dropped out from school because of their newfound juicy job. 16-year-old Yerson Domasus is a second-year student of St. Cecilia JHS. He has been driving the tricycle for a year now, and mostly during the weekends. He is sometimes forced to skip school during weekdays if he has no money.
I didn't go to school today, that's why I take it and drive.
So you are still a regular student? You still go to school?
Yeah.
Very soon you drop from school?
No, I will not drop from school.
Why?
But I know that if I drop from school, I go find some work and do. That's why.
Tell me the reason why you are driving it.
The reason I'm driving that I want money when my exam fee or so fee can come.
Unfortunately, several of his colleagues who started with him riding the tricycles have now dropped out from school after they saw the job more rewarding than going to school. A student of the work campus of the University for Development Studies, Nihad Abubakar, expressed concern about the age group riding the tricycles.
Yeah, it's comfortable, but most of the times you find very small or little boys driving it. And I wouldn't enter it if I see a little boy because they are so inexperienced and anything can happen. So I look out for the person driving it before I take it. If it is a matured person, then fine. But I wouldn't enter it if it is a small boy driving it. Yeah, sometimes I wonder why they are not in school, but rather doing this kind of business. And other times, so you find them in the morning. I could say maybe they are back from school and then they've come to drive it. But other times in the morning you find them driving it, and I just ask myself, why are you not in school? So little boys like this should rather be in school rather not.
However, former student of War Polytechnic and chairman of the Ajahn Sumatra Tricycle Station, Mohammed Fahad, defended the use of the teenagers on the tricycles.
And some people, they can't afford the fees of their primary schools and other things, and they have to be doing this one to get money for their daily bread. Yeah. You know, some people too, they went to school, but because of the caliber of the school fees paying system, no, they don't have money to pay the school fees. And because of that, they can't be in the house doing nothing. And at times when you are in the house like this, you get frustrated. And it's better you are in the station doing the traffic.
The number at the Sumbo Tricycle Union of GPRTU, Salfu Sabogo, considered that it was wrong for them to be riding the tricycles and have already initiated measures to curb it.
I'm very, very worried because they should have been at school, and engaging in such activities now is going to tarnish their education. And that is, like I'm saying, that is going to create more unemployment in future. Yeah, we have taken a step. For instance, if we see any juvenile riding the kambu, we stop the person and then seize the key. Then we ask the person to go and call the owner of the kambu. So when he comes, we advise him not to engage that juvenile into such activities. And we
even though there are no official figures to back the claim that the advent of the tricycles in the Wa municipality was one of the causes of reduced enrollments at schools, teachers who spoke to Joy News off camera conceded that the situation is real and adequate steps should be taken to put a stop to it. Officials of the Wa Municipal Education Office have little to say on the issue as they cannot verify whether the teenagers found riding the tricycles are pupils from their schools or not because they are not in school uniforms. Upper West Regional Director of the Department of Gender, Charity Bature, blame it on lack of parental control.
Early dawn, where these buses come around to offload passengers, you find these young guys up as late as sometimes 2 a.m., 3 a.m. The boys are out there in the cold with the tricycles waiting for passengers to pick. I think as parents, we have a great role to play. We have to ensure that our children stay in school and don't allow anybody who has been able to afford a tricycle, maybe out of his own former form of work, he's made money, he's bought a tricycle, he wants to damage your child's future by asking that child to come and drive a tricycle and probably is pay something peanut at the end of the day.
The police in the region, however, said they are unaware of teenagers riding the tricycles but will soon go out to hunt for them if they really exist. ASP Emilia Jechi, is the Upper West Commander of the MTTD.
One cannot just see somebody in person or how the person looks smallish or cute and conclude that the person is a minor unless investigation is conducted into the person's background. We are entreating all parents, knowing very well that their children are minors. They shouldn't allow them to ride. Because this time, if you come around to beg, you, the parent yourself, will also be put before the law court for permitting.
Reporting for J News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Up next, we bring you sports with Nathaniel Ato.
Thank you very much for staying here with us on Joy News Prime. It's time for sports. My name is Nathaniel Atwa, and we go straight into our first story. Now, we'll talk some football because the Professional Footballers Association of Ghana has been embarking on various activities to ensure that the message of getting, good welfare for players during and after their careers is sent home. Now, the PFAG earlier today held a clinic for Inter-Allies Football Club at the Elwak Stadium. Now, the idea was to bring them up to speed on some of the plans that the PFAG has for players, both active and retired. Joy Sports' Benedict Owusu was there and has put together this report.
The visit was to discuss issues relating to self-motivation and the implementation of the insurance scheme, as well as how the players can build their playing career and life after football. Last year, the PFAG announced an insurance package for Premier League clubs, and for them, following up on what they started last year is crucial to the development of the game. Here is a member of the PFAG, Joe Addo.
Yeah, it's important because most of our guys don't really understand what contract means. And, in their minds, when you sign something for a club, that means you are obliged to honor whatever it is. We come in because we have the experience, we played outside, so we are explaining to them what contract really means. And also life after football, you know how difficult it is. Some of our guys, if you see them now, you wouldn't even believe that they used to play football. So we are preparing these guys for their future, after the game. And we think it's important for us to come and show ourselves to them and make it open for them to be able to contact us in case they need they have any questions.
And I'm sure we'll run through all the clubs. It will not just be about Inter-Allies.
Yeah, we'll visit every club because we need the union of all the players behind us to be able to do what we want to do. We are working with Fifth Pro, to support all the players. Some of them have contractor issues, some of them have injuries that needs to be taken care of. And as a union, we come in to try to help them to attain those helps.
The PFAG has outlined plans to educate all administrators, technical heads, and the playing body on what to do and not to do. One player who has benefited immensely from the activities of the PFAG is former Wa All Stars defender Saeed Adnan, who has been on the sidelines for almost 2 years with a knee injury.
Now it's better. It was a knee injury that I picked up during a training match session. I was declared out of the field for a very long period of time due to that injury. But fortunately, I've undergone a ligament surgery, which was successfully done. I did my rehabilitation for 6 months as the doctor prescribed. Now I'm almost a year now. So after the 6 months, I started playing gradually. Now I'm fully recovered with the support of the Professional Footballers Association of Ghana.
Inter-Allies youngster Abdul Halik Hudu was thrilled to meet the PFAG officials. For him, it is always good to have these ex-players around to guide them.
It's very important to us because for this platform, we have the privilege to get used to things that they've been through. For them, at their time, there was no help for them. But for our generation, I think they are much interested in helping us as the new generation, because I think most of the players had a lot of issues with the clubs and then with their contracts.
But today they are here just to emphasize on how we are about to go through our careers smoothly. Yeah.
The PFAG members will be at the Tema Stadium tomorrow morning to interact with the players of Tema Youth.
That's it for the bulletin. My name is Israel. I have a good evening.
This is Joy News Prime.